A good second half against Lincoln gave us a point here at the Valley on Tuesday, but more needed to get us away from the relegation zone. Things may well get worse before they get better though, as we're just about to face the top three over the next 3 matches. First up, it is Bolton Wanderers away with the best home record in the league. The Tough Sheet Community Stadium is the venue for today's game as the Addicts look to build on the positivity from that second half against Lincoln. With less than 45 minutes until kickoff, let's take a look at what we got coming up. We'll hear from the Charlton manager, Nathan Jones, in his pre-match presser. Chuck Zanike returned to action on Tuesday, making an immediate impact, and we have a fascinating interview with the striker. And we'll see what happened when Alfie May went to talk to some Community Trust participants about his career journey. Well, a warm welcome to everybody around the world joining us here. And if you haven't already, please get your live streaming match pass for just £10 if you live outside the UK. Brownie and Curbs alongside me. And look, Curbs, I was going to ask you about the second half first up, but I'm sitting in here in rehearsals and suddenly I realised that he spent 2 days with Mrs. B in London. I said, how was it? He said, very romantic.
Oh, right.
Or was it very heavy?
Proper sorted her out, geez. Actually, no, that hasn't come out right. I mean, looked after up in London.
It's only 2:15, Brad.
Yeah. Did I hear the stadium name right?
You did. Did I say it okay?
Yeah.
What's happened, Brownie?
Listen, sometimes, Curbs, you just, you've got to look after your wife, haven't you? Yeah. Otherwise, it just...
Instead of just taking her for granted.
Yeah, exactly right.
So does it work? You got the Brownie points?
Listen, we went to the Book of Mormon, recommend it. We went to Flight Club last night with Dean Kiley, and that was good fun. We should all go.
I've been there. We should do that for the end of the season.
Good fun. I bet you're all right at darts as well, aren't you? East End pubs when you were a kid.
Not
He'll still be stretching his calf.
Yeah. Up against the wall.
Well, no, I'm really pleased you and Mrs. B had a fantastic couple of days.
Yeah.
In Valentine's week. Well done.
Didn't even have a row.
Brilliant. Yeah. Fantastic. Really pleased for you. Shall we get on to football now? Second half Tuesday, there's a lot of positivity to take out of that, isn't there? To take into today's game.
Absolutely, and I think that the noises coming out of the camp was, half time, bit of a rant, I think, and it changed things around, and we got on the front foot a bit. And I think we saw from Nathan what he's after, moving the ball a little bit quicker, getting it in the box, and getting bodies in the box. Very athletic, I think, in the second half. So you mentioned it. The game's coming up. They can't get no tougher, can they? In this league? And if we can get anything out of today's game, it'd be an absolute result, I think. Yeah,
today, Brownie. In fact, no, actually, I'll just ask about that rant. I mean, how many rants can you remember Curbs having at half time?
A few.
and they
some
worked,
at me,
clearly.
Yeah, some directly at me. Yeah.
The worst one was when I went after Jerome Thomas, remember?
Yeah, well, I wasn't here then, but I know the story. I do know the story.
I went after Jerome Thomas.
Do you want to tell the story?
Well, yeah, we was losing at Portsmouth 1-0 and I had the half-time, had the raving up, and I've gone in and I had the ump with him, and I'm ranting and raving, where are you? And he was in the treatment room. He'd done his knee. He was out. I said something like, he'd been limping around for the last 5 minutes, jumped out of a tackle. Because he'd done his knee ligaments or something.
His knee ligaments?
Boss is in here.
When the scans came in, you're like, oh, sorry, Jerome.
Sorry, 9 months out. Yeah. I like, he'd done really well for us, but I had the raving up that day.
Yeah.
We won though.
So the rant worked.
How do you remember that?
There you go.
Know what I mean? You can't remember. When we meeting for golf?
We always beat Paul.
We won that day though.
we always beat Paul Smith. We always beat Paul Smith. Eh? Hopefully.
You didn't tell me about the Blackwall Tunnel, but I remember we won that 25 years ago.
You know why? Because Harry was in charge of that.
Yeah. Look, I mean, Curbs has mentioned it there, Brownie. Tough opposition. It's a team not only fighting for automatic promotion, but does have the best home record in the league.
Yeah, games in hand on the teams above them as well, so they'll be looking to close that gap. I think we've sort of appreciated Bolton since they come back up from League Two. I think it's done a fantastic job, and they've done a slow building process that we all talk about here. Getting foundations in place doesn't quite work out promotion that year. They seem to get a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger, and the result of that is they're challenging every year for promotion. So, good job from them as a football club. They've got a good manager in charge, and it's bearing fruit on the pitch. They've got a couple of very good players missing today. Santos, we always appreciate Santos at centre half. I think he's been cracking when he's played against us, and obviously Charles, the centre forward's missing, which is a big miss. So an opportunity, particularly with the second half performance, which did elevate everybody without any shadow of a doubt. There was a good atmosphere in here a second half, and that should have had an effect on the players, I think.
It's quite interesting, though, isn't it? Because we're playing Bolton, which was a Premier League game. When we was in the Premier League, it was a Premier League game. And then, coming up Portsmouth, obviously we just spoke about it,
and then Derby.
And Derby, yeah. So we look around here and go, we shouldn't be in this league. There's quite a few teams that are looking around saying exactly the same thing.
I hate to be the negative one here, because that's your job, Brownie, and you're sounding really positive.
He's already coming back.
I've met with 1 or 2 people this week, and I've got to try and lift everyone's spirits.
You be you, Brownie. You be you. That's why we all love you. But I will be slightly negative and try to maybe a final twist. I mean, you mentioned again, as I have already as well, we're facing the top 3 over the next 3 games. So there's every chance, if not by the end of today, then certainly by the end of the month, we'll be in the relegation zone. But it's important not to panic, because if you look at the games that for March and April, there's more than enough winnable games to get us out of it. Yeah. How important is it, though, even if things don't go well over the next 3 matches, we don't panic and we stay calm and the fans stay on board?
Yeah, because nothing else can be done, in all fairness. You know, the window's closed, no more players coming in or whatever. But I just get the thing that, you know, it should be a decent atmosphere. I think players respond to atmospheres, so it should be a decent one at Bolton. Portsmouth will sell out, we know that, and hopefully we will, you know, respond to that sort of atmosphere. Yeah, and Derby's a big game, isn't it? Listen, they all come along, sometimes they come along like that, and as you're saying afterwards, it looks on paper a little bit easier. But if we've took nothing from these 3 games, then it ain't that much easier, is it? Because a result, a win, might not even get you out. Yeah. You know, so I think in the back of our minds, we've been looking over our shoulders a little bit for the last couple of months, and now we are firmly looking over our shoulder. So, you know, we need to put something together very soon.
So how do you approach these next 3 games then?
Well, you know, we're going to talk about, I think, the preparation that Nathan's done this week and what we've heard about. You know, I think the main thing when you're on a run like we're on is to change things around in terms of, you know, the format, the way you're preparing, even team talks. You know, I ain't being funny, but I think that, well, I'll go back to the Premier League, you never had to give a team talk really because you knew who you was playing against, you know, within reason. And I think this league, I think you should know, Bolton, one of the best sides, you should know who you're playing against if you've got anything about you. So, you know, things like that you can change, be, you know, perhaps not take as much training, perhaps take more training, you know, just change it as much as you can to try and get a bit more out of the players.
Yeah, just feel it and see how the players are feeling psychologically and physically as well. OK, let's hear from manager Nathan Jones then, who spoke in his pre-match presser yesterday.
Nathan, there was a real momentum in that second half on Tuesday. How will you be able to harness that going into Saturday's game?
Well, we've got to build on it. We're not just harness it, we've got to build on it. You know, we want to be a front-footed, dominant side, and to do that, you have to build momentum. And that was a start. It was, you know, it was a different intensity from the Reading game. It was a different level of performance in terms of being more potent, and that's what we have to do. So we have to build on it. It's not just harness it, but it's about building on it because, as I said, we don't want to be a passive team.
And Chuck's returned to the squad on Tuesday. How did he come through the game?
Yeah, fine, no problem at all.
And any fresh injury concerns following Tuesday's game?
Well, look, we had to replace sort of Kane Ramsey, so we'll assess in him, see how he is, and then we'll know more in the coming days.
Bolton and the opposition come into the game in good form. What sort of test will they pose?
Well, an excellent one there, you know, right up the top. They're going for automatic promotion. But a manager's been there a few years, so they're well drilled, know what they're doing. They've been promoted from League Two. They've had a little bit of continuity in everything last year. So they're a really, really good side. So it's the toughest test, you know. They know what they're doing. We have to travel there and make sure we are the best version of us. Otherwise, you know, it'll be a tough game.
And you mentioned that stability they've had over a period of time. How's that helped them build to where they are?
Well, this is exactly what's helped them. You know, if any manager that's been there over a period of time helps you to build something. So, you know, he's an excellent manager, done really well at that football club. As I said, got him promoted. I think they were a bit unfortunate last year, and now they've shown they're stronger again. So they've improved, you know, year in, year out, and the stability they've got has really helped that.
And the crowd really played their part in that second half on Tuesday. How will they help again on Saturday against Bolton?
Well, they will, however many travel. You know, any support we get is vital. You know, we're going up to a place that's tough. There'll be a decent crowd there. There's a team that's playing well, that knows what they're doing. So, you know, we're going to have to be, as a football club, the best version of ourselves.
Perfect. Thanks so much. Rich, anything to add from you at all?
Yeah, hi Nathan. Just in terms of Bolton, first of all, they've got the best home league record in the league. What do you admire about them? How much do you kind of worry about what the opposition do compared to what you do on a match day?
We don't worry about it. What we do is make sure that we know opposition strengths and things, but we also have to have a real big emphasis on what we do, and that's what we have to do. We have to now build something where we implement our style on people. And that's the focus. That's what we have to build, and that's what we have to do. look, Bolton are a side, as we said, has been a real continuity over the years and tried to implement their style on a football game. That's what happens with time. For me, I want us to go out and to know people's strengths, to be able to combat that, but also then to impose our strengths on them.
Ian Everett's been there a long time as well, and that longevity obviously can count for a lot. You can build something, can't you?
Well, exactly. That's what does that. Ultimately, time. If you get results, you buy time, and time buys good work or produces good work, and that's just the way, the nature of the beast.
With Chuks Aneke, so good to see him back. The crowd were lifted straight away when he came on, and even warming up. Do you expect, I guess the plan is hopefully Chuks will at least be an option for you for more and more minutes as you go along between now and the end of the season. Is that fair to say?
Well, yeah, we want everyone to be fit and available. You know, not just Chuks. It's not just about Chuks. It's about everyone. We've had some people out. Kamara's back. You know, we've hopefully Heck won't be long, and then we've got real strength to choose from. But we're going to demand from them. You know, they put in a big shift the other night, so you know we've prepared. We're going to prepare well to go into Bolton and to prepare really well for a tough game.
I don't know whether I can ask you just quickly about Terry Taylor. A little while back, he was back playing games, sort of beginning to get his fitness back up. And whereabouts, just roughly, is he? Is he still okay?
Yeah, he's fine. He's back fit and training well.
Okay. And you said with Kane, you're going to wait and see. Is it a hamstring issue, or was it cramp, or what was the...
Well, we're waiting to find out. He's just had a really stiff hamstring, so we're waiting on scan results to find out if it's just stiffness or if there were any kind of damage. And that's we've assessed that yesterday, and now I'm just waiting on results.
Freddie Ladapo talked after the game about how he feels more settled now. Obviously, he has had to play different systems under different managers. But he seems really happy with the way things are going now. How big could that first goal be for him, do you think, in a Charlton shirt? Well,
strikers thrive on confidence, so hopefully he'll give him some confidence. We brought him off the bench rather than starting him for a reason the other day, and he responded fantastically well. And look, we're going to keep working with him.
Just on one striker that's been in form was Alfie May, 20 goals this season, but I think he's 1 goal in his last 11. Is there anything particularly else? I mean, obviously Alfie's proved he can be prolific, hasn't he, at the level that it has been for Charlton. Is there anything more you're looking for from him?
Well, what I'm saying, Alfie's dip in goal scoring has coincided with the teams as well, so it goes hand in hand. So if the team play well and create more, then Alfie will get more chances, and that's all we ask. He's a great lad to have around. You know, he's a good captain, vice captain. And he's a fantastic goal scorer, and we're going to need everyone. Look, the club's gone through a little tough spell, last 13 games, 14 games. We had a positive result the other night. We'd like to win, but you know, we've had a positive result. Now we've got to go again and build. So Saturday's another chance to build, then we've got another week to build again. And that's all we can do, is just keep building so that we become a far better team. And we're going to need everyone. We're going to need Alfie's goals. We're going to need Chuks Aneke. We're going to need the other two, Ladapo and Kanu. We're going to need everyone else in the competition for places. And if everyone buys into that, then we'd be in a better place as a club.
Well, yeah, and he's certainly stamping his mark, isn't he? It's interesting that Thierry Small will make his full Charlton debut against Bolton this afternoon. Small, who joined the Addicts at the start of February, impressed with the club's under-21s midweek. Connor Coventry and Tuesday's goalscorer Freddie Ladapo also return. 3 changes in total from Tuesday. Kane Ramsey, who was substituted on Tuesday with a stiff hamstring, not included in the squad. Neither is Tyreek Backinson, while Alfie May drops to the bench. I mean, that's the big one, isn't it? It's not necessarily who's in, but who's not. Alfie, Curbs, what do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I think Nathan just mentioned, you know, what he scored 1 goal in 11. He brought him off Tuesday, didn't he? Perhaps he feels that he's put so much into it, and he has done, in all fairness. Whenever he plays, no matter if he plays on the right, you know, as a number 10, or up top on his own, he puts a shift in.
Are there some players that, even if they're not in goal scoring form, you still want them in the side, or can you understand what Nathan's doing here?
If he wants a bit more pace and power up top, then I'd have thought we'd have put Alfie as number 10, because that guarantees you another body getting in the box. If it looks as if something's going to happen, he will get in the box and overload it. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised by it, but you know, I think that what Nathan's done already is this is me, this is how I'm doing it. I mean, he left Conor Coventry completely out the squad on Tuesday. Now he's playing again today. So, yeah, perhaps he's saying, look, I've just come in and I'm basing what I'm doing on what's happening now, and I'm not even thinking about what you've done in the past. It's now.
Yeah. It is a big call though, Brown, isn't it? I mean, he's the third top scorer in League One, even though he's only got one of the last 11. Not necessarily complaining about Ladapo or Carney, you can understand that. But interesting, he's chosen, Croy over Alfie.
As a number 10.
As a number 10, there as a number 8, but Connor can easily be
but that's
one
an
of two
interesting
pivots.
graphic, because the way they set up is Sheehan in front of their back three, and then Magoma and Dempsey ahead of that. And then we're going to play 2 up against Sheehan and 1. So I think that graphic's not going to be right. I think Conor Coventry's going to drop back alongside, and Croy will go into that 10 role like we saw here on Tuesday. So with that in mind, then you can argue about Alfie May dropping there. What I would say about from my perspective is Alfie has become very, very frustrated. And sometimes when you become very, very frustrated, you lose sort of your where you're at in the team, and your goal scoring touch just deserts you a little bit.
We've seen him make a couple of rash tackles, haven't we? Like chasing.
Could have got sent off in that game away.
Yeah.
I can't remember. I think it was Burton.
Yeah,
off the back of me.
Yeah, he's
memory banks.
but
But just
Go on, sorry.
well, young child arrived. We know how that affects you sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you put all that in the melting pot, sometimes you just need to be. We said this the other day. Sometimes you're never going to admit to a manager, I need to come out, gaffer.
He did it with Freddie Tuesday, and look what happened there.
But sometimes, we were talking about Lloyd Jones recently, mistake after mistake. He's not going to go to his manager and go, I need to come out. But the manager did bring him out and just let him have a game or two on the sidelines. And maybe we need to do that with Alfie. He can just sit. It's going to frustrate him even more, because he's that type of character where he wants to be playing every week, wants to be scoring goals. 1 in 11 has crept up on me a little bit. I didn't know that was a statistic for Alfie. And so maybe it is the right thing to just bring him out the side today, go a bit powerful and a bit more physical presence on the front line. And then at the end of the game, we've got a bench there that's really can affect
I was just thinking,
if we're
danger coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I've got the bench up here because, Ashley, there's Camara, there's Alfie, there's Tyre Eddin, Tyrese Campbell, Chuck Sanike and Macaulay Gillespie. That's every single one of the subs. I think every single one of them could say they're a first team player, couldn't they?
Absolutely.
So that's a really strong bench to have with options.
Yeah, he's got a lot of options. I think Brownie said it Tuesday that Lincoln would have been looking at our bench and thinking, look at that, when Chucks came on and whatever. Yeah, we have got a squad. I just think that I think the fans were a little bit surprised when Alfie got brought off Tuesday. Will be definitely surprised that he's not starting. But as Nathan said, they brought Freddie on Tuesday and he looked fresh and he looked sharp and nicked his goal.
With a point to prove, which
would surprise me if that happens again today. Yeah. Can you imagine if they swap the two with Chucks and Alfie? It suddenly gives us a different dimension, doesn't it?
Yeah. And also it gives a lot of confidence to Croy, doesn't it? The fact that he's in there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if you look back to Nathan's Luton team, it had a midfield that was dynamic and resilient, and it had a front two that could bully. And it's certainly a style that I think he's looking to recreate here. He's known it and he's had success with it in League One before. So I think we're slowly going away from what we've been seeing, and we've sat here going, listen, we keep banging on that same style of play, and yet we've got one of the worst defensive records. I think we're slowly moving away from that, and we're getting the ball forward. And he's going, we need to be a bit more potent. You listen to Nathan's a bit more potent, a bit more on the front foot, a bit more aggressive, but not with the same style.
I know you two are really into your rugby, but
all rugby, I know is England beat Wales. That's all I know.
Rugby terms,
go on.
They don't call them subs or replacements; they call them finishers.
Absolutely.
And Freddie came on Tuesday night, and if Alfie and Chucks come on today as finishers, and we get a result, then
Football has changed a bit. It's not about who you start with; it's about who you finish with, and ultimately what the score is. Okay, it's another big day for Charlton Athletic Women's tomorrow as they host Reading at the Oakwood in Crayford. And Karen Hills' side are currently top of the Women's Championship. Will be looking to continue their promotion push against the Reading side that did actually hold them to a draw earlier in the season. Captain Kate Longhurst spoke to Charlton TV earlier this week and was asked what test Reading would pose.
Yeah, well, we played them earlier in the season and we drew. It was a game that in terms of like the way we dominated, it was probably one of the best that we've played, but we just didn't have the finishing edge. So we know that defensively they can be very solid, they can be very good, hard to break down. So we have to make sure that we're trying to find their weaknesses in terms of how we can break them down. I don't want to give too many clues away because obviously that's going to be our game plan. But we're definitely not taking them lightly. You know, the way that they're sort of picking up points against teams that are higher up. I honestly think this league, anyone can beat anyone on the day. And, you know, we just need to make sure that we're at our 9s and 10s out of 10 to try and get the 3 points.
Yeah, Curbs, Kate was in the studio with you guys, wasn't she, earlier in the season as well. It's another big game for the women's team. They're there to be shot at, aren't they?
Well, now the pressure's on.
Absolutely.
You know, and there's an opportunity for promotion. And every game now is vital. So yeah, if any fan is like that about going to watch it, then get down there and support them.
Absolutely. Please make sure you do go down to the Oakwood in Crayford tomorrow to support Karen Hills' table-topping addicts right now. Kick off at 2 p.m. and tickets can be bought on the door if you haven't got them already. And Karen Hills, Carla Humphrey and Beth Rowe will be taking part in a Q&A with Charlton Athletic Supporters Trust this week coming. That's Tuesday, February the 20th, 6 p.m. Attendance via Zoom is free. Okay, now last Sunday was the Africa Cup of Nations final where Nigeria took on the Ivory Coast, and there was a special screen of that final at the Valley. It is fair to say it was predominantly a Nigerian support, and this is what happened when Nigeria scored. Fantastic atmosphere, I have to say. Of course, Ivory Coast did go on to win the game, but it looked like a great occasion. A final with plenty of Charlton representation as well. Academy graduate Ademola Lookman started for Nigeria, as did Shemi Ajayi, who was also in Charlton's academy as a youngster, and former addict Joe Aribo was on the bench. And Brownie, look, another example of the talent that's come through our academy, shining on the world stage now.
Yeah, I have to say, I'd be very interested to know how many internationals across the board we've had, actually. I know we're focusing on Nigeria for that particular piece, but...
Well, you could have given us a bit of time to go through that. You've thrown that on me now, haven't you?
Yeah, I don't think it's down to us. Somebody
I
will come up with some stats. During this 90 minutes we've got to watch, somebody will tweet something about how many internationals.
Over in the boardroom, we've got a list of people. They're in the boardroom. But it's not been updated, probably not been updated for some time.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Yes, there is. Yeah, there is a list at the top of the stairs. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I'll dive across, shall I?
Yeah. We'll see with those knees, we'll see how long you take. Yeah. But it's great, isn't it? I know Ademola Lookman is doing really well in Italy as well, so it's great to see, you know, Charlton lads, exactly what I just said, doing well in the world stage.
Yeah, I wonder there was a game last night when Aribo came on, didn't he? Did you see the game last night?
I was at Flight Club last night.
Oh yeah.
He was getting 180 over Mrs. Brown.
Well, I wonder why he came on, so it's obvious because he's just come back from...
Yeah, absolutely. OK, let's bring it back round to today, shall we, and have a look at the fixtures elsewhere in Sky Bet League One. Carlisle against Cambridge looks vital, while Cheltenham host Port Vale in what is a real six-pointer. We could, in theory, catch 4 teams with a victory today, including Cambridge. Of the others, Burton travel to Leyton Orient, Reading face table-topping Portsmouth, and Shrewsbury welcome Wigan. And Brownie, some huge games in there. Port Vale, Cheltenham below us. What do we want there? Do we want to draw?
Yeah, Carlisle, Cambridge, just the fixture above that as well. That's 2 really important games for us to keep our eye on regarding where we sit. But yeah, I think you'd take 2 draws, wouldn't you, from those 2 particular fixtures, and just keep everybody bunched together. But we'll see. But yeah, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on those 2 results.
Because we touched on it Tuesday, I mean, we've got to focus on ourselves, but you can't help but have a little cheeky look elsewhere.
It's interesting when managers go, no, we're going to focus on ourselves.
Tell us when managers say that, what are you really thinking?
Well, no, you've got to hope someone else does you a favour somewhere. Absolutely. I remember that when we went to Villa, 1-4-3 when you went in goal.
Yeah.
You know, I thought,
don't bring that up again.
No, but
so he's going to go on for ages.
No, Brownie's going to go with 1-4-3 at Villa, and I'm thinking, we've got a chance because it's all going to go down to the last game. And then to find out that Southampton won at Wimbledon. No, you know, for all intents, you want Wimbledon to beat Southampton. Then we played Barnsley, it's all in our hands. But it was out of our hands because of that result. And, you know, you do need other teams to do you a favour.
Don't believe a word managers say when they say, no, we're not looking elsewhere, we only focus on ourselves.
Absolutely.
You have to rely on others as well, it's just in case things don't go well. OK, one man hoping to play his part in seeing us climb up the table is Alfie May, and I hate to think where he'd be without his goals. Not playing today, of course, but he did in the week speak to the Community Trust's post-16 group about his career journey.
The Charlton Athletic Community Trust run a post-16 football and education academy. So that involves combining a sports qualification with a full-time football training programme. So it's eligible for 16 to 19-year-olds, starting either with a level 2 qualification or straight into a level 3 qualification.
I really enjoy doing talks like that, sort of the way that I come into the game and where I am now. I think it's really important for me to sort of give that story, because sort of saying to the boys then, just never give up, and sort of whatever your sort of your end goal is, sort of work hard every day to try and succeed.
Alfie's story could really resonate with the students in terms of how he's gone through a journey through the non-league level into the professional game, and all the setbacks he's had along the way. It was a really good story and great for the students to hear about that.
I think it's amazing. You can see it in their faces, chatting to them, and sort of all locked into sort of listening to me. And like for me, I wish I had something like that when I was at their age, because I'd have snapped their hands off for sort of a little spot like that to do your education and playing football. So yeah, I think that the club overall, they're doing such great things with so many different things, and it's really sort of, for myself, pleasing to be involved in.
Yeah, really interesting. Watch that, and you know, we forget, Curbs, don't we? The story that Alfie has. I mean, looking through the teams that he's played for: Corinthian, Billericay, Chatham, Bromley, VCD Athletic, Erith and Belvedere, Farnborough, Hyde Town, Doncaster Rovers, Cheltenham Town, before he's come to Charlton.
Amazing, really, isn't it? It is an amazing, because, you know, it's no disrespect to some of them teams you're talking about, but you could easily just drift away off, couldn't you? Could just drift out of football and concentrate on doing something else. But he's kept at it, and you know, and what we're hearing about him is he's such a good lad around the dressing room, around the club. And no surprise that he's gone and done that talk and trying to help everybody in any way he can.
Yeah, I did a pre-match interview with him for Charlton TV earlier in the season. He hadn't scored in the first couple of games, but you could tell not just how he came across on there, but off there, he was a proper lad, someone you'd want in the dressing room. And you know, that story is a real inspiration to a lot of youngsters, isn't it?
Yeah, and on paper, when you read out the list of teams that he's played for in non-league, some people go, well, why is he swapping teams so much? What's that all about? That is non-league. You get 50 quid a week out somewhere else at the end of the season because you banged in 20 goals, you're taking it. And so you end up, you're a season somewhere, you're banging 15, someone else takes you. I got given his name when he was at Hythe, when I was at Ebbsfleet, I think. What year was that? Seriously?
Hythe?
Yeah.
Was 2015 to 2017.
Yeah.
37 goals in 45 matches.
Yeah. I definitely had his name come through as a striker to sign. And we were like,
I wonder what he was doing.
and then he's gone and done that.
Yeah, but people, players, peak at different times,
and I had good strikers at the time as well. So it's not like you're going to... It's like, well... Because I had four good strikers in the building. So you're thinking, is he better than all four of them?
I'd be interested, what sort of profession was he doing? What was he doing? Because all of them couldn't have been full-time.
They'd work as well at the
He'd
same
be
time,
working, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
We'll have to watch that on the
out.
club's website.
It's a really interesting topic, that, because a lot of them earn... a supplementary wage, and I had league teams come in for players that couldn't match their wage because they were earning two wages, and they couldn't get League Two clubs couldn't get near them.
And I think we don't want to underplay it really. I mean, we've got to sort of move on to his football as well, but the amount of kids that don't make apprenticeships when they've gone all through school and suddenly they think they're going to make it, they don't. Even the ones who do get into apprenticeship, maybe even a first year pro and then they're released. it can be heartbreaking. That must be a horror. Managers say, don't they, it's the worst part of being a manager.
Yeah, incredible failure rate.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that the Premier League's like 2% success in player, coming through the academy and getting into
Probably
the first.
less than that.
Yeah, I think it's
It was something like 2%, and there was obviously with the formation of academies, which Les Reed had a big part to play in that. He went off after we won promotion, went off with Howard Wilkinson, and was instrumental in setting up the academies for the Premier League clubs, especially. Try and give the kids an education in case they didn't make it as footballers, and they had something to fall back on. Unfortunately, what I'm hearing at the moment is no matter how much you say to the kids, you've got to do the education, you've got to do they just want to do the football.
Yeah.
They just want to do the football. They want to be footballers, and none of them think they're going to fail. But as I just said, the success rate in the academies, obviously in Championship and Division 1, whatever, may be a little bit different to the Premier League.
I think one of the harshest things is that they're geared to play professional football. And I took an under-18 side at Brighton where we had quite a relatively good successful rate in terms of about 12 signed on pro. And by the end of their first year pro contract, 3 of them were dropped out of that first year pro into non-league and were out of the game 18 months after turning pro.
Completely
they could not adjust to non-league football because it's different.
Which again shows how well Alfie has done, or certainly coming
really
through.
Does.
Maybe didn't experience it from the start. And also we must just give a doff our cap to the Community Trust. Jason Morgan, MBE, wouldn't like it otherwise, would he, if we didn't. Just on to the football as well. He has been fantastic. He's third in the list of League One for the season, but just hearing it's 1 goal in 11, what do you put that down to?
Well, I think Nathan touched on it. The team's been struggling as well, not creating as many chances. I think he's been used in different positions. We know that he's been asked to play wide right. We know he's been asked to play as a number 10, etc. And he put so much into the game. We've seen him tracking back. We've seen him making these rash tackles.
But that's because he cares as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, because he's been so frustrated. So perhaps Nathan's gone, you know what, have a rest. It'd be nice to bring you on, and suddenly, hopefully, the Bolton back 3 or back 4 go, oh, hold on, Alfie May's coming on. Oh, and Chucks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this is totally different than what we've been playing against.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can work that way. Or we might just be saying to him, have a break. You've been full on all season, have a break, and let's see how it goes.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Despite the recent run, he's a top goal scorer at this level, and I'm sure he'll be back in the side very soon. Just a reminder for those watching at home on YouTube and Twitter as well, your live streaming pass for today's match, just £10 to be able to watch Charlton TV's production of today's game up at Bolton. Okay, from 1 goal scoring Alfie May to a creator and a destroyer on Tuesday, I have to say, Chucks and Ike. He's the star of an excellent new series, The Ends to the Valley. And let's take a look at a little preview.
So right now, we're at Charlton train station, and this place kind of part of my childhood. I don't think many people would have known or would know, but before even signing for Charlton, Charlton had like a meaning for me. My mum used to own this coffee kiosk here. That when we were young, and we used to come here and stock it and like restock it for her, with like flapjacks and like the coffee and the coffee beans. And for me, this is what this station means to me. And I come and I drive past the station, to go to the games, and it always just reminds me of like where I come from, you know what I mean, and how far I've come, and like just why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that is just a teaser. You can watch the full 9-minute feature on the club's YouTube channel or the extensive Charlton TV archive as well. Brownie, that's a fantastic little story, isn't it? That is a hell of a teaser.
Yeah, it is a teaser. Yeah, and people don't often think, they think it's a scholarship, professional career, boom, and actually there's an awful lot goes on behind the scenes in various situations, and that's one. And I think actually social media feeds across the country should fill time with a bit more about players and their backgrounds and their family life, and I think that would interest people more than perhaps the clubs imagine.
He did actually, though, come through Arsenal's academy as well. Do you see him as this big physical striker, or is there more to his game than that? Within 15 seconds of coming on Tuesday, he created havoc, didn't he?
I think the opposition know what they're up against. As soon as he comes on and they know he's fresh, I mean, listen, we're frustrated with it. He must be so frustrated with the injury situation ever since he was at the club, went away, came back. But he's a real threat, isn't he? And we know that. And I think Nathan was glad he had him on the bench on Tuesday because it changed. He changes the game. Same as Miles, when Miles was on the bench. You know, like Miles going off and Chuck's coming on, or Chuck's going off and Miles coming on. It suddenly changes the dynamic.
It makes such a difference, doesn't it? Is he almost the ultimate finisher?
Well, I'd like to see him finish a few more, but
if not actually scoring the goals, but certainly helping the team turn things around.
Yeah, I think when he came on, I think he gave the crowd a lift because they know what's going to happen. He's going to upset the back three, back two, centre halves, and hopefully make a bit of space for others.
Yeah, 7 league games he's played this season. 3. I mean, 1 that's not good enough, but 3 wins. 4 draws, no losses.
Seen the statistics, and we shouldn't be that heavily reliant on one person making all the difference like that, should we? But the statistic, it was an incredible statistic when it got sent through, and you're looking at that going, you know,
how does one player just like we're in danger of having good subs. You know, if Alfie comes on again today and Nick's no, but what I'm saying is that having people coming on, doing a 25-minute, 30-minute cameo, we need them from the start.
Yeah. I think the big issue with our squad as it sits is you remove Alfie out. I touched on it Tuesday. You remove Alfie out, and I know he's 1 goal in 11, but there is a lack of goals in the depth of the squad. Centre halves aren't particularly pitching in, wing backs aren't pitching in, central midfielders aren't pitching in. That puts a lot of pressure on the front guys, and when you're missing them, like we have been, it's why we've had a difficult. That's one of the reasons why we've had a difficult season. But he's back, and so rather than focus on, we should focus on every time he comes on. Yeah. There is a lift. 100%. We felt it here Tuesday. There was a reaction there. He bullied the centre half within 20 seconds of coming on. Reaction from the crowd. Reaction got the goal as well, which was great. So I just hope. You know, it is a double fingers crossed from now till the end of the season. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he doesn't start. For me, it really doesn't. But just stay fit for the last 12, 15 games or whatever we got, and you give yourself a good chance when we're coming off the bench. So
Curbs, with Alfie May, with Daniel Kanu, Fred Ladapo, Chuck Sanike, obviously there's Miles who's not going to be ready just yet. I mean, that's the real positive problem, isn't it? How would you use this?
Well, no. I think Nathan. It's interesting what he was saying. I think the fact he's come into the club, he's not relying on anything else, only what he's seeing at the moment, you know. And he's probably looked at Alfie and gone, he might need a break. You know, he's not scoring. He's not really as lively as he has been. He needs a break, and why not when you've got enough in the squad to take his place?
Is there a worry though? I mean, you look at Chucks and you can't start him. You look at Daniel Kano and he's still learning the game, so you feel like he'd be better off coming off the bench. Fred Ladapo, he's not done great when he started, but we saw what happened on Tuesday. It's almost like we've got a lot of finishers. We haven't got enough starters, and Alfie, ironically, is probably the one guy you feel like you want in there. Despite
we've been saying it for some time. We've got so many players with the new signings, whatever, get him fit in the first team, which is difficult, you know. And Freddie's one of them. He's come from Ipswich, not a lot of football. And he's slowly getting stronger, but you could see like the fact that he was fresh when he came on.
It's a lot of attacking talent we've got, isn't it, for a team that's struggling in League One?
Yeah, when everyone's fit and available, absolutely. But I think that point you make goes beyond the strike line. I think wherever you look at every department, there've been flashes, and you go, listen, he could be a good sign. He looks all right, and then we backtrack, and then someone comes off the bench, and you go, brilliant, like that was a brilliant 25 minutes, and then they get started and they don't match that 25 minutes, and I think that's been an issue for us quite a lot.
Well, Kane Ramsey's another example of that, hasn't he? Did really well the other day, and then came off with an injury
at all from where he's, from the club he's come from, and then he looked all right going forward, quick, powerful.
And that's why lots of managers steer away from the January transfer window, because no disrespect, I'm probably talking out of turn. You end up getting players that no one wants a little bit because they've not been playing, they've been out of their team, and then they've got to get fit in your first team. The summer transfer window, if you sign them early enough, they do the pre-season, they're in, and they're with you from the start. So yeah, that window, and we did do a lot of business in that window, but one of the reasons we got so many players in is because they wasn't playing in their first team.
Let's remind ourselves of today's team, shall we, along with Bolton's team as well, and we should touch on them, Brownie, and you make a really good point at the top of the programme. Listen, this is a team fighting for automatic promotion, best home record in the league, but 2 key players out.
Yeah, Santos and Charles, and look, I've also said they do have strength in depth in terms of goal scorers. I mean, the list is really extensive from Charles all the way down to the centre halves who are actually pitching as well. They've got 2 or 3 between them, and they brought in Aaron Collins, who's come up from Bristol Rovers, I think. Great assister. I think he's in double figures for assists or near 2. So they've got threats all over the pitch, but you have taken out a massive presence in Santos, and you've taken out their top goal scorer in Charles, and we'll see where that leaves them. It's an opportunity for us. I hope we can bounce on from Tuesday night's second half performance, match that with intensity, and pressurise Bolton a little bit. I know in terms of the statistics of where we're at, games without a win, you still get a feeling that second half should put us in a better place today.
Yeah.
And although we talk about how difficult the next 3 fixtures are, can you imagine if we nick one?
Yeah.
What that does for the team and what it does for us and the supporters, if we can find a way to get a draw today and beat Portsmouth or vice versa.
Yeah.
Suddenly there'll be a positivity. We just need someone to light the fire, or a result to light the fire.
We're hanging our hat a little bit, aren't we, on the fact that we always seem to do well against Pompey, but they're obviously having a wonderful season. We're struggling, so we need to try and somehow find a point here. I mean, you look at just some of the stats. They've won 15 of the last 22, 7 of the last 10. They've got the joint best defence in League One, conceding just 29 goals and had 22 different scorers in all competitions this season. So it's a tough one today to make it an understatement.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that, I keep going back to Nathan's interview and the fact he's only been here a couple of weeks. He's not affected by it. He came in on Tuesday looking forward to the game more than anybody, whereas perhaps 1 or 2 of the players wasn't, because of the run we're having and a little bit under pressure. But he's not. He's all fresh. And, going to Bolton today, he's probably looking forward to it, and I think we need some people to stand up today. I think we really do need to keep it tight and not concede first.
Well, I mean, are we going to get that elusive clean sheet, Brownie, or what?
Tough one, isn't it? They're banging form. We say this every game. 1-7, drawn 2, lost 1 of the last 10.
And Lincoln weren't bad, was they, before they got there?
Best home record in the league.
Reading weren't bad, and they were below
1
us.
loss in 11, which made it 1 loss in 12 against us. So we are coming up against some really strong teams at the moment in terms of their current form. But it goes back to what you said earlier. You have to start concentrating on you a bit more than your opponents here. We're in a bit of trouble. We need people to stand up and be counted. What I will say about Nathan is he's coming in, what he's looking for, I think, is this all together. Whether I bring you in, whether I take you out, Conor Country sits in the stand, back in the side. Don't let it affect you. I want to see a response. I need to know, I'm working out who I want here in the summer, who's going to be on board whatever happens. So I think he's got this window now to do that. He's testing people, I think. But what he needs today is a really good reaction and a springboard on from Tuesday. And not to see people go back into their shell. We know it's a tough fixture, but make sure you give everything you've got for this, for as long as you can, so that I can start working out who